All right, guys and girls, ghouls and goblins. I guess that's my new intro. Let me stop playing. This is your boy oO5 Dynasty. I got a nice quick little video. I guess it's a vlog. You can call it a vlog. Talking about sampling and versus being original. So Ninth Wonder, as y'all already know, is a famous, producer. He on various occasions he has made, his point be known about sampling and why sampling is harder than creating something original. And in my humble opinion, I don't think that's the case. I think creating something original from scratch is harder than sampling somebody else's work, which is pretty much 50% already done for a producer who wants to sample. And when I mean 50%, I mean the record is 100% done for the original artist. But then when a producer wants to come and basically remix it or just change it up, however way they see fit, whatever equipment they use, whatever, to make it something different that would be their own, most of the work is already done. 50% of the project for that producer is already done. So I'll play a couple clips here, and then I'm just going to elaborate on what Mr. Ninth Wonder has said over the years or different interviews on different occasions. But here's my theory, okay? When you're creating a track from scratch, you are be all end all. You know what I mean? Like, you're everything. You're sitting in your room or your studio, and now you have to come up with a melody, a groove, a percussion groove. You know what I mean? So you're basically the drummer, you're the pianist, you're the violinist, you play on the cello, you play the trombone, you play the clarinet, you play the flutes, you play the oboe, you play the synth strings, you play some pads. You're doing it all by yourself from scratch. And if you're doing sound design, you're really doing it from scratch, because now you have to go and get some oscillators and stack the oscillators and use them in unison and making you playing big strings and stuff. You're doing sound design. You're doing it from scratch, original. When you're sampling, you kind of already have an idea of where your song is going to go, because you already listened to a full orchestrated piece already. So you're listening to, let's say, a soul record. So that soul record already was made in 70s, the 80s, maybe the 90s. You know what I mean? They already had the drummer already came to that studio. You have the guitarist, or maybe two guitars, a bass guitar and maybe an electric guitar, already went to that studio, played. You know what I'm saying? They put the blood, sweat, and tears into creating that musical piece. You have the pianist that's probably there, and maybe somebody playing a flute or a trumpet that's there, and they're making a record. They're putting all that stuff into that space, making that ambient sound. Then you have the mixing engineer along with the producer of the record that's directing everything. Everything is being put together for you, or for them. That's their record. Then they mix it and they put it on wax and it's ready to go. It's on vinyl for the world to hear, on the radio, everywhere, clubs, everything. And the song has a theme, a motive, something. I mean, it has groove to it. It has flow. It has a story. It's actually telling you something. It's making you feel something. And it was mixed a certain way. You know what I mean? So the piano is mixed a certain way. The room ambience, the way they treated the room. Like, if you don't know what a room treatment is, look it up. The way they treat the room to get the piano to sound a certain way in that room, to give it that emotion, or the vocals that's already on the record. So when you put all that together, and then you already hand that product to a producer, they already kind of have an idea. All they gotta do is chop, 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 and just put it together in their own little version of. You know what I'm saying? It's like a remix. You're just moving sounds around now. You didn't even have to go find a piano. You didn't even have to set up a room to treat a piano to get it to sound a certain way. And when you're doing an original, you do have to do that yourself. Now original might be using VSTs on the computer, which are samples of, some other acoustic environment. But when you go inside those those VSTs, you now have to put that piano in a certain room. You have to do it manually yourself. It's as if you were the producer back in the days, setting up the band inside those studios at Motown and stuff like that. But you're just doing this in your own house now. But you're doing it original by yourself. So that takes a lot of time to do. That's time consuming. That's a big process. That's not just already taking a record that's already done, chopping it up and making it your own. So now you have to be the band, the producer, the audio engineer, even the vocalist, because you might want to put vocals on it yourself, unless you can find a dope sound library and just chop up vocals. But that's still that's like work for hire. You know what I'm saying? You're paying for those vocals, and now it's like as if you had the artist in the studio with you. So you're doing all that by yourself, and then to top it off, you have to mix it and mix it well to make it blend and sit perfectly. And that's hard. Not everybody can mix. You can go up and down YouTube right now, and there's a ton of beats that are not mixed properly. It's just not, it's hard. It's not an easy task. It's not. Even for the seasoned veterans, they still have a hard time with mixing. You know what I'm saying? Not just getting the sounds and just throwing some drums over the 808 and calling it a beat. Mixing. So there's a couple of things that he said in the video that kind of like rubbed me the wrong way when he's saying like, oh, if you're not playing chords. But you don't have to play chords to make a music orchestration and make something beautiful. You don't have to play chords. Chords is not the end all, the be all to music. It's just if it sounds butter, if it sounds good at the end of the day, if it's pleasing, if it has rhythm, it has flow. You know what I'm saying? You could make a chord progression without even using chords. It's just how your track progresses. If you know how to tell a story with your music, you don't need a chord in it to make it progress. You don't need a chord to make your track have progression in it to flow from an intro to a drop to a chorus to a verse, and how you drop out of the chorus into a verse, how you make the verses flow, because the verses to me should be broken up. Because the way I break up my verse is in a 16 bar sequence. In that 16 bar, every fourth bar I'm doing something different. So it's how you master your craft as a producer. How do you get out of that 16 bar verse and go back into the chorus? How do you go in and out of the bridge? You know what I mean? So you don't need to play a chord progression to do that. You know what I'm saying? That if you look at Ghost Wav music, I'm not playing no chord progression, but everybody loves the sound because it's cinematic air hop. So I'm gonna play some of this stuff for y'all so you can hear what he says. Some of y'all might agree with him because y'all probably just sample all day long. But take it from a person who started out sampling. So I know how to sample. And a person who now creates original. I know the difference. I've been on both sides of the coin, and I still do both. On my album, there's some songs that I sampled off of TrackLab. You know what I mean? But me beat it up. Like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate the artists who actually made those records that I was able to sample. And actually, on YouTube, one of the guitarists that played for one of the records that they made years ago found my video when I was chopping it up and made a comment on the video. I was like, that's the dopest thing ever. So let me play this.
And to be honest with you, a lot of the reasons why a lot of cats won't sample, they like to use the whole publishing bit and say, I want all my publishing. That's fair. I understand that. But to be honest with you, if you playing the keyboard and you really can't play, if you just like any cat will tell you, it's harder to take a record and make it your own.
What's up, y'all?
And also, I want you to come and check out this channel, Back to the Boom Bap. So this channel right here, this is where I got the video from. That right there, I don't understand. all you gotta do is just sit with a record that's already made. It's already made for you. You just chop it up and you make something out of it because it's already 50% done. All right, let me play something else for you. Let me speed up in here a little bit. This part right here.
What else Knife Wonder has to say about this topic?
You didn't come up with the tone for C. Somebody said this is a C.
Right.
This is a D, and I'm going to tune this piano to call it a D. You didn't make that sound.
Right. Yeah.
It is manufactured for you.
Right.
So your manufactured D is the same thing as my drum pad. So we're all playing something.
Right.
So what's live and what's not? You didn't make the piano, bruh. You didn't make the saxophone. I used to get in arguments with keyboard producers all the time. I'm playing keys. No, you ain't. Tink, 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 tink. Ain't playing no keys, bro.
So let me stop him right there. First off, the people in the studio right there, it's very biased reaction because he's famous, so they all going to coattail. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. Don't ever ride anybody who might have a little bit more fame than you. Don't ever do that. I would never ride anybody's coattail. I don't care if it's him, anybody. You know what I mean? And that whole tink to tink thing, like trying to play other producers, to me personally, I expected better of Knife Wonder. I supported him, liked his content, stuff like that. But to hear him talk in that nature about other producers, now, I'm not going to talk bad about sampling producers. I'm not going to do that. I respect both. But in the context of this story, he cannot say sampling is a lot harder than creating something original. Because without the originality, you would have nothing to sample. You would have nothing to sample without the originality of people. So it doesn't matter if it was somebody from the 80s because if he samples old school, somebody from the 80s or somebody from 2022 creating original. Because in 10 years from now, somebody's going to be sampling somebody who created something in 2022. It's the same thing. So you cannot sit here and just negate and say sampling is harder or it's better or whatever, you know what I'm saying, the workflow, whatever, and then just creating original is tink because you can't play a chord or because you didn't create the sound original. It's not a fair argument because, yeah, we didn't create the piano and stuff like that, came well before our time, but who's to say that we don't have the capability to create something like that? We do, you know what I'm saying? It comes as time comes. Like I created Ghost Wav music. It comes as time. Genres don't come every day. They come over time. Creating something comes over time. Science involved with it. We know that. So don't try to totally just negate the community like that just because we didn't create the sound that came before us. We're thankful for that. But just because we didn't create the sound doesn't mean like we're not on equal planes because we're all just basically sampling something. When I play a VST, it's a sample of a room environment or in a piano or whatever from somebody else. We get that. But we're playing a sample of a piano. We don't, you know what I'm saying? We're playing a sound that's not, we didn't create. We get that. But it's not a fair argument because the ultimate creator is Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? The Lord. You know what I'm saying? So he's the ultimate creator. He created everything. You know what I'm saying? So without him, there wouldn't be nothing. So without somebody being able to create something, there won't be nothing. There won't be nothing for you to sample. It's not a fair argument. It's not just. You know what I'm saying? So I really didn't like this scene. To me, it was a bad portrayal on him. It might have made him feel good to have people laughing at the other side of the community and these people who just dick riding. You know what I'm saying? Pardon my French. But I honestly didn't like that. I didn't like it at all. We're all sampling something because we all didn't create the tones. We didn't create the devices. We didn't create the hardware, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're all sampling. But once we got the samples, what is the hardest path? It's the hardest path creating from literally nothing in front of you or Getting a record and having a vocalist already singing, having a piano already there, guitar already there, bass lines already there, having a rhythm already there, drum patterns already there, you know what I'm saying? Having the room already treated from way back when those people created that stuff, having the mixing engineer already mixed the sound down. You have a full piece ready to go, and you just chop, 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 and now you made it your own. That is harder than literally having nothing but a blank scale in your mind and say, okay, let me sit down and make something. So even if you don't know how to play chords, you play around with the melody until you get something to your heart feels like that's it. And then you start adding, stacking and stacking and adding and adding and adding until you create something that's amazing. You're going to tell me that person who sampled a record did more work and it was harder? I there's no way in the world you could tell me that's no. And coming from a person right now, if I was to go on YouTube and search up Lord of the Rings, pull up some music and download it, I already got some butter cinematic music, and I just start chop, chop, chop. I put it on my pads. I got my MPC on right now. Put it on my pads, chop, chop, chop. I add some drums to it. I got a good rhythm, and I'm like, oh damn, this butter. You know what I'm saying? That was mad hard to do. That was hard. How is that hard? I wasn't in the studio with, you know what I'm saying, the whole orchestra conducting them, telling them how to play. You know what I'm saying? The conductor was sitting there controlling the trombone, controlling, you know what I'm saying, the cymbal crashes, controlling the flutes and stuff like that. They had the hard work. They messed up millions and millions of times until they got it right. And then they put it on wax or digital, whatever format, and it's in a movie, and you are able to hear it. You be like, oh, I like that. Let me go sample that. So you hearing something already. You hearing a full piece already. Whereas somebody who's original, they're not hearing nothing. They don't have nothing in their mind. They just start from scratch. Then you do a little chopping and maybe a little mix, and half y'all don't even mix. Most of y'all, when y'all sample, you don't even mix. You just chop it up and you put it out. You don't treat no resonant frequencies. Half of you don't even know what resonant frequencies are. You know what I'm saying? You don't negate some of the reverb that's in your sound. The bass is off. You don't even know how to do parallel compression when it comes to your kick drum and the bass that's inside of a sample, because the bass is already in the sample. So how are you going to negate that? How are you going to fix that problem with the bass that's in the sample and then your kick drum? They're colliding, they're clashing. It's a lot of phasing issues when you're sampling. How are you going to do all that? You know what I mean? So come on, don't tell me like it's harder when it's sampling. Half of you don't even do it correctly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could tell you how to fix that problem. I know a couple of my friends, like especially like Ghetto Styles, could tell you how to fix that problem. You know what I mean? But it technically not even that hard if you really understand music. It's 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah. A couple steps you do, blah blah. Okay, blah, 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 and it's done. But what about actually playing the bass the proper way? Play it the proper way, and then play the kick drum and then mix them two together. Now that is hard. That, you know what I'm saying? Like that, you really gotta know what you're doing and sit inside the room and then bring in all the other instruments to sit in perfectly with everything else. Then bring in the vocalist on top of that. Come on, man. Come on. Don't get caught up in the hype of somebody because you think somebody's famous. Like, you know, and y'all need to start making names for yourselves and also, man, because I'm tired of seeing this type of stuff. This is oh, oh man. You know what? I'm just gonna be done with this topic. I'm gonna let because you know I'm getting a little amped because I don't like it when somebody tries to negate the whole other side of something, like it's easy and acting like what they're doing is hard and try to say, oh, to tank, and you just because you're not playing chords and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I could play a sound right now that I play for like a good 10 people and they're like, oh my God, and there's not one chord in it, but it's better than half the people who's producing because they just not on my level. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to sit there and play it and try to disrespect people. Stuff like that. I just stick to myself. I be like, all right, I make myself. All right, boom. That's going to be for my album. It's going to be for this. It's going to be for that. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, tink and try to play the other side. It's not cool, man. It's not cool. And I sample and I play original, but I prefer original better. It's just more pleasing when you make something that's just totally original and you complete it. Like my track, like the song I See Through You. Go on my YouTube channel, listen to I See Through You. You know what I'm saying? Listen to that record. It sounds like a soul record. And that was totally from scratch. No sampling from a record, from another artist or anything of that nature. It was totally from me. I See Through You. I'm out.